Good morning, Year 5. I hope you're all well and ready for another geography lesson. It's been great to see you all so motivated by this geography unit so far this term. Today we're going to move on with our mapping unit and look at how to read Ordnance survey maps, look at what exactly Ordnance survey maps are, and then create and complete a few challenges at the end. Now, so straight away, if you'd like to pause the video here and write your date in WALT to get you set up for the lesson, then please do that. The WALT is how can we use 4-figure grid references to read OS maps? And the date is Tuesday, the 19th of January 2021. So if you'd like to do that, then pause the video and off you go. Now, if you've that done, fantastic. You can get started on the do now. So the do now is here in front of you. We have 3 questions on our current unit based on our last 2 weeks of work. We have 1 question on our last unit, which was history, and we have a couple of questions from last year based on OS map symbols. So pause the video here, complete the do now, and unpause again when you're ready to tick or fix with your pens. Right, so we're going to look at our answers to our do now. How did you do with your do now? Right, question 1. Where did the idea of the 7 wonders of the ancient world originate from? The Greeks, the Romans, the Anglo-Saxons, or the Vikings? It was, of course, the Greeks who created a list. So give yourself a tick for that, or else fix it if you need to. Now remember, you could have printed off the do now, but there was no need, as you can just simply write the answers down on a piece of paper as well, just to save yourself ink and paper. Number 2. Which of these are 7 wonders of the ancient world? You need to tick 3 of them, it said. So they were the Colossus at Rhodes, the Pyramids of Giza, and the Temple of Artemis. Stonehenge is not a wonder of the ancient world. And number 3 from our current unit is the Hanging Gardens of Babylon are located in which modern day country? And they would be located in modern day Iraq. So give yourself a tick for that one. Number 4, based on our last unit on the Vikings in history, why did the Vikings attack Britain? Circle 1. Was it because it was not far to sail, to avenge the death of Ragnar Lodbrok, Britain was prettier than Scandinavia, or to find more wood to build ships? And the answer was, of course, to avenge the death of Ragnar Lodbrok. So well done if you got that correct. And finally, some symbols from last year. The first one here, that is a lighthouse. Second one is a school, and the last one was park and ride. So well done if you got all those correct, quite a bit in that do now. And pause the video if you need extra time to mark your work. Otherwise we're going to start on looking at OS maps. So Ordnance survey maps is the WALT of our lesson. We're going to be looking at those. So what are Ordnance survey maps? Now you may have heard about them before, or you may not. So just tune in here and we'll give a brief overview of what they're about. So Ordnance Survey is an agency. It is Britain's mapping agency. So they're an agency that looks after the maps of Britain, creates them, and creates these grid references as well. OS maps show human and physical features of the environment. So human features as well as physical features like mountains, hills, all those physical features, as well as human features like telephone boxes, information centers, museums, and so on. Contour lines, or lines that are a bit wavy, show land, height, hills and valleys. Rivers, grassland, forest, marsh and lakes are also included in these maps, and they are physical features of the environment. Then human features would include man-made features such as canals, bridges, footpaths, buildings and roads. And these maps, Ordnance Survey maps, or OS for short, these maps are particularly useful for anyone wishing to navigate on foot, such as long distance walkers. So if you go out to the countryside and you plan on a long walk and you're not really familiar with the place, especially if you're on holidays, you might go into a bookshop or a newsagent or an information centre, and you might buy an Ordnance Survey map of that area to help you navigate where you were going and to get a better understanding of the area, what facilities are near you, what places you need to avoid, what's hilly, what's mountainous, and so on. So that is the point of an Ordnance Survey map, as I've just outlined. Okay, so here we have another picture of an Ordnance Survey map, and you'll notice the grids and the numbers. Now I'll explain the numbers later on, we're just going to look at what the grids mean for now. So it is crisscrossed, so a criss and a cross, made of horizontal and vertical lines. Horizontal going along like the horizon, vertical standing up. This creates then lots of squares known as a grid. So these crisscrossed vertical and horizontal squares have created this grid. So you have the map and the grid placed on top. Using the grid and squares helps us to narrow the area of our search, making it easier to locate features on the map. So if we wanted to find a tourist information centre on a map, and we found it, it would be easier to find based on these grids, because then you can narrow down your search to just look at small squares instead of looking at a map and being overwhelmed by that. Now, a bit of a fun fact here. Did you know that on an Ordnance Survey map, each square represents the same size area, 1 kilometre squared, or 1 square kilometre. So each square on this map is 1 square kilometre. Now, I've been doing metres squared and centimetres squared in area in maths. Kilometre squared then is significantly bigger. So each square here covers 1 kilometre. So that's just a fun fact, and just to add to your knowledge of what Ordnance Survey maps are. So we're going to look at reading 4-figure grid references. So now I made reference to the numbers that were on that grid a minute ago, and I said I would explain them, and that is what I am going to do now. So 4-figure grid references are what are on a lot of Ordnance Survey maps. Now next year you'll be doing even more figure grid references, and it'll become a bit trickier in year 6, but for now we're going to look at what we have in year 5. So you can see here we have 57, 58, 59, we have 14, 15 and 16 going up. I'm going to explain each of them along with our steps to success in a minute. So if you look at the bottom corner of the grid square, the bottom left hand corner, you can see there's 2 numbers here. The number on the vertical line is the one going across, that is the easting. So the easting is 57 and the northing is 14. Now an easier way of thinking of that is to think of a compass. So easting is going this way because it's going east. Northing is going up like on a compass because it's going up. So this grid reference, this square, would be 5714 because you're on 57 and you're on 14. So that's step 1. You look at the bottom left hand corner and you look at what's the easting and the northing. Then you put these 2 numbers together to create a grid reference for that square. Now there is a way of remembering this so you don't get the numbers confused or what goes first. Think of across the hall and up the stairs. My turn. Across the hall and up the stairs. Your turn? Good. So I went across the hall for this square, got 57. I went up and it was 14. Now we'll look at another example. This grid reference is 5815. How did I get these numbers? Well, I went across the hall and up the stairs. So I went across on my easting, going east, and this grid reference is within 58. Then I went up the stairs and it was in 15. So 58, 15. So these are our steps to success. If you'd like to pause the video here and have a look at them, then do. But the main little cheat of skipping our steps to success is think of easting, think of northing, going across and up, across the hall and up the stairs. One more time. Across the hall, up the stairs. Your turn? Very good. Okay, so now we're going to try some of them together. Right, we're going to do these ones together. So we have a couple of questions here. It's not of an OS map, it's just of a grid, but we want to practice helping us reading the 4-figure grid references. So, What OS map symbol is found in each of these squares? Now I'm going to do the first one. I'm going to look at 3526. So I'm going to go across the hall to 35 and go up the stairs to 26. So 3526 would be a golf course. Now what about 3124? So I'm at 31 and I go up to 24, and I know that is a viewing point. It's really important you're familiar with your OS map symbols from last year as well. And C, 3323. So I go to 33, which is here, and I go up to 23, which is here, and I must check myself what that is. That is a picnic site. Silly Mr. Murphy forgot his OS map symbols. There's just so many of them. That is a picnic site. Okay, so the point really what we're trying to get across is you go across the hall and you go up the stairs, or across the corridor and up the stairs. To understand that that is in the right order. The easting and the northing. Now, number 2. Oh, silly me, my answer was down here. There was a clue. Right, number 2, you are going to do the grid references for the church and the telephone. So number 1 was what OS map symbols were found in the grid references. You need to tell me the grid references for the church and the telephone. So pause the video here and see if you can work out the grid reference for the church and the telephone, and we'll look at the answer in 1 minute. Okay, so we'll look at the answers. Yes, I did get golf course correct, I got viewpoint correct, I got picnic site correct. For the church, did you get 3524? Excellent, well done. And telephone, 3122? Brilliant, well done. Really good work. So we're going to look at another activity. We're going to do another one together just so that we're ready to go for our independent very shortly. So this is a paired activity and I'm going to be your partner. We're going to look at an actual map from an OS map, so it's slightly trickier than before, and we're going to see how we can get on. So I have my numbers on my easting here, 39, 40 and 41, and I have my numbers on my northing as well, all the way up here. So the first question is, where is the tourist information? Now when it says where, I need to give the grid reference. So I need to look for my tourist information, and I can see the little I here for information. So I go along my easting across the stairs to 41. I know it's in this box, so my easting is definitely 41. Then I go up here, and on this line going up, it is 78. So the answer is 4178. Now I'll do that again. So the question asked me, where is the tourist information? I found the tourist information. Then I went across the stairs along my easting. So I went across the hall rather, to 41, because that's where it is. Then I went up the stairs, and it's in this box here, which is 78. So the answer was 4178. Now, I want you to pause the video here, and I want you to see if you can find what is found in 4078. So you're going to go to 40, and you're going to go to 78, and you're going to see what you can find there. Okay, so you may have found a nature reserve, which was here. You may have found a hospital, and you may have found a couple of other things as well. But the main OS map symbol that was there was a nature reserve. But don't be worrying about OS map symbols today, because the point of the lesson really is that you can just read a 4-figure grid reference. So well done if you got that correct. Now the next one. Where is Swanage Bay? So you're going to have to look for Swanage Bay, see if you can find it. Yeah, you're right, it's up here. and we're going to do it together. So Swanage Bay is here, so I go across the hall to 41, so I know my easting is 41, and I go up the stairs, and it's in 79. So 41, 79. And the final one, can I camp in 3978? If not, where can I camp? So now 2 parts to that question. Can I camp in 3978? Pause the video here and go to 3978 and see if you can camp. Once you find out if you can or cannot camp, unpause the video and we'll see where we could go. Yeah, you're right. We can't camp in 3978 because there's no camping site there. So I'll just double check. I'm on 39. I go up to 78. There's no camping site here. So where could I camp? Again, pause the video and see if you can find a camping site. Yeah, well done. 3979. Here's a camping site. 3979. So I could camp in 3979, but not 3978. So well done if you're able to follow along with them. I'm going to introduce the independent now, and I'm going to show that to you. If you need to revise anything, I'd encourage you to revise just exactly what we did here with this paired activity together, and practice going over it again if you're a little bit confused. Remember, across the hall and up the stairs is our key step to success, going along our easting and up our northing. If you're ready to continue, fantastic. Otherwise, just pause and rewind, and we will continue with the independent then. So the independent is, you're going to answer the questions about a map, remembering to use 4-figure grid references correctly. So I will show you the sheet. And this is the sheet. It is in your home learning as well, so you can print it off if you like. If you don't have a printer, don't worry. You can just download the PDF and read off that and write down your answers. Either one works, it really doesn't matter. So for the first 4 ones, you are going to write a grid reference for each of these places. So you're going to have to find the grid references for Moor Monkton, Earswick, a building of historic interest, and a public telephone. That's the first thing you'll do. Then you're going to do the opposite for the second part. You're going to write down what is found in each of these grid references. So you will go to 1832, you will go to 2638, and you will go to 2436. And then the final one is a little bit of an extension. Is this area a good location to visit for playing golf? So you're going to have to look around the map, see if there are plenty of golf courses. Do you think it is a good enough place to play golf for someone who wants to, or not? Now, once you've done that, there's also another question that you can rewind the video to. Should a new visitor to the city head to 2436 or 2435? And you'll need to explain why. So if a visitor is new to a city, they'll quite often go to an information point. So think about that and think about, are there information points in either of those places and where should they go and why? So pause the video here. Give 4-figure grid references a go, either by printing it out or just opening the PDF on your home learning. And once you're ready, press play again and I will run through some of the answers with you. Great, so I hope you got on okay with that, and I'm now just going to reveal the answers. Now these are some answers, they're not all the answers because there are plenty of options, but I'm going to run through some of the ones that I did while you were doing that. Right, so write the grid reference for Moor Monkton. The grid reference for Moor Monkton was 2038. The grid reference for Earswick was 2539. So give yourself a tick or fix. A building of historic interest was in 2436. So 2436 is here, and that is a building of historic interest, this symbol here. So well done if you got that. And a public telephone was located in 1732, and it may be located in more than one place. So if you found that, then absolutely fine. But these are just some of the possible answers. Okay, the second part then, you need to do the opposite. You need to find what was found in these grid references. So in 2132, I found services. In 2638, I found a campsite and a golf course. And in 2436, which is here, I found a place of historic interest, I found a castle, and I found a tourist information point. And there's even a golf course as well. Plenty in that final one. Then finally, is this a good area or a good location to visit for playing golf? Use grid references to support your answer. So I would say yes, and the reason I would say yes is because there are plenty of golf courses. So yes, there are plenty of golf courses. There's one here, there's one here, there's one here, and there's one here, as well as here. So there is plenty. So for your answer, you can write down plenty of golf courses and add in then the grid reference. So for example, the grid reference for this one here would be 2534. So I'll say yes, this is one of 2534. You might want to list a few more. The last one here up the very top, that is at 2640. So I might say 2640, and you can list off the rest. Hopefully you got to the extension as well. I'll be asking you questions about that in our briefings in the afternoons. And this one other thing I'd like to show you, as a plenary or a conclusion, there is a game that you can play about OS map symbols. So there's a link here that I'm going to link up to the home learning, and you'll be able to practice using OS map symbols and reading 4-figure grid references as extra practice. It's a really good game, and I'd encourage you to do so if you have time. So other than that, thank you for listening. Really well done, and I look forward to discussing this in afternoon briefings with you, as does Miss Meltzer and Miss Montignon. Other than that, have a really lovely Tuesday, and I will talk to you all very soon. Bye for now.